Did you know that according to ancient Indian texts, one man from the Mahabharata is still alive today? Not as a god, not as a saint, but as a cursed wanderer, bleeding, rotting, unable to die. Yes, you guessed it right. His name is Ashwatthama. Some say he walks the forest of central India. Some claim they have seen him near sacred rivers, asking for alms, avoiding temples. Others believe he appears only to those burdened by guilt. Did you know this? Tell me in the comments. Have you heard of Ashwatthama's curse before this episode? Welcome to Entropy Reversed. I am Devo Jyoti and this is Entropy Reversed, a space where we don't just retell stories, we dismantle them, examine what's missing, and rebuild them using forgotten facts, ignored perspectives, and uncomfortable truths. Most podcasts and web series reduce Ashwatthama to one label, the villain. Some glorify him, others sensationalize him. But tonight, we do something different. We ask, who was Ashwatthama before the curse? What pushed him beyond dharma? And why has his story refused to die even in Kali Yuga? Let's begin at the beginning. Ashwatthama was born to Dronacharya, the greatest weapons master of his age, a Brahmin by caste, a warrior by profession. Legend says that when Ashwatthama was born, his cry sounded like a horse, loud, fierce, untamed. That cry named him. But behind the myth lies a quieter truth. Drona was poor. Ashwatthama grew up watching royal children drinking milk while he drank water mixed with flour, believing it was milk. This matters because resentment is not born in war, it is born in childhood. Ashwatthama grew up brilliant, proud, desperate to prove himself. His father trained princes, but Ashwatthama trained with rage. He learned celestial weapons, mantras that could end bloodlines, knowledge that demanded restraint, which no one ever taught him how to cultivate. Entropy begins here. When Dronacharya fell on the battlefield on the 13th day of Kurukshetra, Ashwatthama did not immediately descend into bloodshed. This is where many modern retelling gets wrong. He did not rush to the Pandava camp. He did not seek blind revenge. Instead, he broke. Drona was not just his father, he was Ashwatthama's moral center. The last restraint on a mind already burdened by rage and humiliation. And in that moment of collapse, Ashwatthama was consoled by his maternal uncle Kripacharya. Kripa, calm, disciplined, still anchored in dharma, urged Ashwatthama to survive, not self destruct. For a brief moment, Ashwatthama listened. On the 14th day of the Kurukshetra war, Ashwatthama entered battle with something far more dangerous than anger. He unleashed the Narayanaastra, a weapon of mass annihilation, one that feeds on aggression. The more violently an army resists, the more destructive it becomes. This was not a weapon meant to win battles. It was meant to erase armies. And it nearly succeeded. But once again, it was Krishna's wisdom, not Pandava's strength, that prevented annihilation. Krishna instructed the Pandavas and their allies to lay down their weapon, sit silently, surrender ego, not life. The Narayanaastra denied resistance, withdrew. Ashwatthama was stunned, not defeated, but outmaneuvered. What followed broke something inside Ashwatthama permanently. First, Karna, a warrior Ashwatthama respected, killed not by superior force, but when his chariot wheel was stuck and his focus divided. Then Duryodhana, the last pillar of the Kaurava cause, struck down by Bhima below the waist in direct violation of mace fighting codes. Ashwatthama witnessed something unbearable. The Kauravas did not lose by might. They lost by rule breaking, by bending dharma again and again. And here lies the psychological turning point. Ashwatthama did not see the Pandavas as a righteous victors. He saw them as hypocrites. And hypocrisy is more dangerous than hatred. It was the night of the 18th day in Kurukshetra. The war was over. Duryodhana lay dying by the lakeside. Ashwatthama stood there with Kripacharya, with Kritavarma, the last surviving Kaurava warriors. This matters. Ashwatthama did not act alone. With Kripacharya and Kritavarma, he made a choice that would redefine his existence, not an act of war, but an act of annihilation. They entered the Pandava camp at night, asleep, unarmed, victorious, but vulnerable. What followed is one of the darkest episodes in the Mahabharata. Ashwatthama killed Draupadi's 5 sons, the Upapandavas. Let us name them because history must not blur them. Prativindya, son of Yudhishthira. Sutasoma, son of Bhima. Shrutakarma, son of Arjuna. Shatanika, son of Nakula. And Shrutasena, son of Sahadeva. 5 children, 5 futures, all extinguished in their sleep. That night, Dhrishtadyumna, the slayer of Drona, was also killed. So was Shikhandi, the instrument of Bhishma's fall. This was not strategy. This was retribution without dharma. Ashwatthama believed he had balanced the scales. But what he had actually done was step beyond every moral boundary known to man. And the universe, through Krishna, was about to respond. The war was over. Kurukshetra had fallen silent. The rules of battle, however broken, were no longer in effect. And yet, Ashwatthama was not done. This distinction matters because dharma in war is different from dharma after war. What followed was not a wartime act, it was something far more dangerous. Ashwatthama did not invoke the Brahmashirastra in triumph. He invoked it because he was cornered. The Pandavas, victorious, relentless, surrounded him. His path blocked, his allies fallen. This detail is often overlooked, but it matters because the Mahabharata does not portray this as calculated conquest. It portrays it as desperation armed with cosmic power. With no chariot, no bow in hand, Ashwatthama plucked a blade of sacred grass from the earth. And here lies one of the most chilling ideas in the epic. In the hands of knowledge, even grass can become annihilation. Through mantra alone, Ashwatthama infused the Brahmashirastra into that fragile blade, a weapon capable of destroying worlds, invoked without iron, without metal, without restraint. This was no ordinary astra. The Brahmashirastra is described as a weapon that dries rivers, sterilizes land for generations, ends bloodlines permanently, and destabilizes cosmic order itself. It is not merely destructive, it is anti-creation. Seeing this, Arjuna responds, not with panic, but with parity. He invokes the Brahmashirastra as well, two absolute weapons facing each other. At this moment, the universe itself is at risk. If these weapons collide, creation does not survive. And then Vyasa appears, the seer, the witness, the compiler of faith. Vyasa does not argue. He commands, withdraw your weapons or let existence end here. Arjuna obeys because Arjuna knows the complete knowledge. He withdraws the Brahmashirastra. The universe exhales. Ashwatthama cannot, or rather, he does not know how. He was taught how to invoke the weapon, but not how to recall it. This is the Mahabharata's sharpest warning. Incomplete knowledge is lethal. Cornered, humiliated, exposed, Ashwatthama makes a final choice. Unable to withdraw the Brahmashirastra, Ashwatthama redirects it. Not towards Arjuna, not towards warriors, but toward Uttara's womb, towards the unborn Parikshit. This is no longer war. This is ontological crime. To destroy the unborn is to destroy future memory, karmic continuity, the moral arc of time. In Indic theology, this is worse than mass murder. It is cosmic vandalism. This is the moment when the Mahabharata stops being a war story and becomes a cosmic trial. Ashwatthama stands exposed, his weapon spent, his intention laid bare before gods, sages, and time itself. The universe has been brought to the brink, not by strength, but by intent. And now Krishna steps forward. Krishna does not raise a weapon. He does not shout. He does not curse in anger, because Krishna does not represent revenge. He represents cosmic balance. Ashwatthama's crime was not that he killed, it was how and why he chose to kill. He violated the final boundary. He attempted to erase the future itself, and for that, death was not enough. Krishna's intervention was not as a warrior, but as a cosmic equilibrium. The weapon strikes the womb and fails. Krishna shields Parikshit with his own being. The child lives. Time continues. Krishna looks at Ashwatthama and delivers a punishment that confuses modern minds. He condemns him to immortality, not as a blessing, but as the harshest possible sentence. In Indic theology, death is not the ultimate punishment. Death is release. Death is closure. Death is the end of consequences. Ashwatthama does not deserve release. He must remember. He must witness time unfold. What civilization rise, decay, and repeat the same mistakes. He must lived through ages where children are still killed, where power is still abused, where dharma is still bent for convenience. This is not mercy, this is eternal accountability. Embedded in Ashwatthama's forehead was a divine gem, not an ornament, a boon, a gift granted at birth. Born of his lineage, his tapasya and divine favor, that gem gave him freedom from diseases, immunity from hunger and thirst, fearlessness in battle, protection from ordinary death. It marked him as untouchable, above consequence, and that is precisely why it had to be removed. Krishna tears the gem from Ashwatthama's forehead, not violently, but decisively. The wound does not heal, blood flows endlessly. This wound is not physical, it is symbolic. Ashwatthama will now feel hunger, thirst, pain, disease, and loneliness. Everything he once stood above. The gem represented privilege without responsibility. Its removal restores balance. Krishna declares Ashwatthama will wander the earth, rejected by society, unable to die, unable to belong. He will seek death and never find it. He will seek forgiveness and never escape memory. This is not hell. This is samsara without ignorance, awareness without refuge. Krishna's curse was not endless chaos, it was conditional eternity. Ashwatthama was condemned to wander the earth, unable to die, unable to rest, unable to be accepted by society. He would suffer hunger. He would bleed eternally from the wound on his forehead. He would live as an outcast, feared, avoided, remembered only in whispers. But here is the part rarely spoken about. Ashwatthama's curse was not permanent. Krishna decrees that Ashwatthama's suffering will end only when dharma is restored to the world. At the end of Kali Yuga, when Kalki, the final avatar of Vishnu, appears, it is said that Ashwatthama will then lay down his arms, approach Kalki in humility, and finally be released from his curse. Some traditions even say he will become a teacher once more, guiding the final war that restores balance. Only then will death be granted to him. Only then will memory loosen its grip. This detail matters because Ashwatthama is not punished for eternity. He is punished until the world learns. His life becomes a bridge between ages, a reminder carried forward through time. As long as humanity repeats the same violence, the same moral shortcuts, the same abuse of power, Ashwatthama must remain. Ashwatthama's curse ends not when he is ready, but when the world is. When Dharma no longer needs a witness, only then will the immortal finally be allowed to die. If Ashwatthama's curse was meant to last until Dharma is restored, then Kali Yuga, the age of moral erosion, is precisely where he would still be. And that is why the stories never stop. Across centuries, across regions of India, stories surface again and again. A tall man, ashen skin, a bleeding wound on the forehead, avoiding temples, avoiding crowds, often seen near forests, riverbanks, desolate shrines, not attacking, not preaching, just existing. Notice something important. These are not sightings of a monster. They are sightings of an outcast. Almost every version mentions the same detail: a wound on the forehead, festering, bleeding. This matters because in the Mahabharata, that wound is not just punishment, it is identification, a living marker that says, "This one remembers." In Kali Yuga, where memory is short and accountability are rare, the cursed immortal becomes a walking contradiction. He cannot forget and he cannot be forgotten. Many local legends say Ashwatthama avoids temples. This is often misunderstood as fear of divinity, but the theology suggests something deeper. Temples are places of resolution, of forgiveness, of release. Ashwatthama is denied all three. Until Kalki arrives, no absolution is permitted. His presence near temples, but never inside, mirrors his existence near society, but never within it. Belonging postponed. Now ask the uncomfortable question: why do these stories persist? Because Kali Yuga is an age where violence is justified, children die in conflicts, power escapes consequence. Ashwatthama's legends survive because he embodies what this age tries to escape: accountability. As long as injustice repeats itself, the witness must remain. Ashwatthama is not waiting for forgiveness. He is waiting for irrelevance, for a world where his reminder is no longer necessary. Only when Kalki arrives, only when Dharma no longer needs a living scar, will Ashwatthama be allowed to rest. Until then, he walks. So, if you ever hear a story of a man who avoids crowds, who bleeds but does not die, who watches the world with ancient eyes, ask yourself this: is it a sighting or is it consequences refusing to fade? Ashwatthama's story does not end with his curse. It ends with us because the Mahabharata never meant him to be a monster. It meant him to be a mirror, a reminder that intelligence without wisdom is dangerous, that power without restraint corrupts absolutely, and that some actions cannot be undone, only carried. Ashwatthama was not denied death because he was cruel. He was denied death because he knew better and still chose otherwise. So Krishna did not erase him from history, he left him inside it. Every age creates its Ashwathamas, people who justify harm in the name of grief, who break rules because others broke them first, who claim righteousness while destroying the future. And every age tells itself the same lie. This time it's different. But if Ashwatthama still walks in Kali Yuga, it is not to frighten us, it is to warn us. Because the real question is not, is Ashwatthama alive? The real question is, have we become comfortable with the choices that made him necessary? If the curse ends only when dharma is restored, then perhaps Ashwatthama is not waiting for Kalki. Perhaps he is waiting for us to choose restraint over rage, wisdom over revenge, responsibility over power. So I will leave you with this. If Ashwatthama were to walk past you today, would you recognize him? Or would you see him everywhere and still look away? This is Entropy Reversed, where forgotten truths refuse to stay buried. If you liked our episode, do share and subscribe, and your comment encourages us more and more towards bringing new and intriguing characters out of mythology that churns the sheer reflection within us. Thank you and have a great day.